Yo, everybody.
Yep.
Welcome. Sorry, we have an odd schedule this last few days, but it'll be
Yeah.
the last time, I promise. Let me not promise. But,
Maybe.
let me not get ahead of myself. We are here today, though, to time in memoriam for the passing of Tim Walz. His
His career.
His vice presidency run was was
sad.
beautiful to watch. It was really sad that we see it end, but
Oh man.
yeah, he was laid to rest early Tuesday, and the body was stayed open for viewing until Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And
And I'd like to thank everyone that joined me for the live debate feed. I know it was very painful to watch. Marlon was backstage, but he was doing another podcast. But it was very painful to watch, as you guys saw, and we fact checked him too.
If there was a dumpster fire started by a flaming diaper, it is Tim Walz's entire personality
and his face the whole time.
Oh man, that's what I really want to get to.
The biggest thing about Tim Walz's reaction to JD Vance was it looked like he agreed with almost everything he said.
He did.
And like he was like, "Man, you convinced me to vote for you." You know what I mean? Like he looked like he was gonna vote for him at the end
It's
of it.
the head nodding for me, like, oh yeah.
Oh,
but
Kamala
at the same time, but at the same time, he was also like, "Moderators, I need help! Help me, please."
But they couldn't be obvious about it because like the reaction they got last time.
Yeah, I was watching a video of someone that was doing, they analyze people's gestures and expressions and everything. Mm-hmm. And they said they could tell if someone's lying or telling the truth and all this. And they said JD Vance, by the looks of it, looks like he was actually telling the truth. And they could tell he was very confident in his posture, the way he was talking, the way he was looking. And they said Walz just looked like he was totally out of place and he was so confused and he was angry and just frustrated. And it was all in his facial expressions.
Yeah, because I think they prepped Walz for an aggressive JD Vance, and what they got was a polished politician, which is not what they expected. They expected another like Trump light, and that's not what they got. I think that it completely threw him for a loop. Or even the point where he's like, even apathetic, apologetic, or even said like, "I understand where he's coming from. I agree with him on this, but this is where we differ." Like he was just right where he was supposed to be. It was a masterclass of what you're supposed to do with a debate. But the problem is now the media is running with he's just too slick, right? He's such a slick Ivy League educated know-it-all, right? That's the line.
You know what I enjoyed every time like Walz would say something stupid. Vance would kind of side-eye the camera.
Oh yeah,
he would look like
he did the gym, man. He did gym.
Yeah, he would be like
from the office. He'd look at the camera.
I'm about to destroy this dude right now.
You're like, what is he talking about, bruh?
His facial expression would be perfect if it was like a sitcom, right? Where he's about to like rip into somebody for doing something stupid. That's the look, right? He just gave the look of that. Mm-hmm. And the laugh track is playing over top of it. I bet if you put a laugh track on JD Vance doing that face after Tim Walz said, "I'm friends with school shooters," that would be the end of Tim Walz's career entirely.
My absolute favorite part was the Tiananmen Square question. I think that was like I was sitting there and I should be crying for the guy, but inside I was dying hysterically laughing. But I want us to watch him. They have a highlight and it's not very long because if you've seen it, the answers that Tim Walz gave were not real. He had one or two spots. I'll give him this. He had one or two spots where he was pretty clear on his answer. But it wasn't to the point of where you can say, man, he swayed some people's minds. He didn't have any of those moments like at all. But we're gonna look at a few. Okay, this is only 2 minutes, 27 seconds long. Just watch very quick.
All right.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Has she? My party, we've got to do so much better of a job.
What does that have to do with anything, really? And I'm glad JD Vance didn't bite the bullet and go answer the question.
Here's the other thing about that app. I saw a TikTok creator go on that exact app, right? He's like, here, I'm going to show you how easy it is. He filled it out with all kinds of nonsense answers, right? Even took a picture of Carlos Mencia as his verification photo, and it was approved.
Jeez.
Wow. Like, not even a good picture of Carlos Mencia, like from his phone to another phone, took a picture of it as his like proof of identification. And then that was it. Like, they didn't need any identification, period. Is what it was. Just a photo. That's all it needed in order for them to get an appointment or to get looked at for status verification. Like, that's it.
That's kind of insane to me. That look, say what y'all want about how the process should go for documentation or non-documentation. The problem here is that we don't have a real process. We have a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
If you have a Band-Aid, it's only going to be a matter of time before things hit the fan. When water hits it, it's going to stop being resistant and things are going to be problematic. They're not looking into fixing it because they have no need to fix it because it's to them, not broken.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy to me because there's people like a guy I know by Wildgeld. He has his wife in the Dominican Republic, right? He just got his son accepted as a citizen, but he's still having difficulty getting his wife, who he's married to, into the United States. But these people can just come across the border, do a fake application, and then they're free to go. That's it. Like, that's all they have to do. That's crazy to me.
Let's see what he has to say finishing up, shall we? Mr. Vance, please continue.
At earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography?
What would immediately change the equation for American citizens if you lower energy prices? As Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill. One of the biggest drivers of housing costs, aside from illegal immigration, is, think about it. If a truck driver's paying 40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic goods too.
Kind of weird to me. Makes some sense, right? They're not going to answer these questions, just so you know. I mean, I get JD's conversation and what he's saying, but I'm going to be honest. I have to be straight with you, all right? Saying it needs to happen is all well and good, but you have to be honest with one thing. If Trump gets in there, he's going to have a lot of opposition. And I mean, a hell of a lot of opposition. Yeah. So it sounds really good to say you're going to get things done. But I would hope one time they would be like, we have a plan and the Democrats have a counter plan. And we're letting you know now that what we want to do, they may not want to do. That would be a much better thing to say, to put them on the defense.
Yeah.
Saying you're going to get it done. And then suppose it doesn't. Suppose it takes more than 3 years to get it done. What then? Then you come across like you didn't really either try to do it or you couldn't do it, but you said it.
Here's the thing that I think a lot of people came out from this debate is looking at JD Vance in a different way. I know we were heavily critical of JD Vance in the beginning, but I think not last night, but the night before's debate was really, really telling of where he's going to be in 2028 when Donald Trump wins and we get his 4 years. Like, he's looking to be a very strong contender for 2028 along with Vivek.
Yeah, you know what that drove me crazy about Walz. I guess him and Kamala both have like the same debate coach, obviously. And going back to Tiananmen Square, you know, the minute he got asked that question about was he really there, he went on and saying, well, I grew up middle class and I was a football coach. And, you know, I used to travel to China. I've been there 30 times. I learned a lot about China. So the problem with that party or those candidates is they can't answer a direct question. And though Trump does it sometimes, and they all do it, but if you can see a difference in between the two. Usually when someone on the right gets asked a question, they'll answer the question. They may monologue before it. You know, they might go on some type of monologue and talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, but then eventually they'll get to it. These people start off from out the gate. Well, you know what? I ate a ham sandwich last night and it was pretty delicious. And I actually got the ham sandwich from a local market that was done by the farmers. We love the farmers. You know what I mean? It's just answer the damn question, man.
It's almost frustrating because they're filibustering.
Yeah. They always filibuster. I think Byron Donalds, when he was on Charlamagne the God recently, said it the best with that, is that they will never give you an answer. They'll always run away from the answer. That's what they always do. Is so like he was talking about this exact issue when it comes to women's autonomy and abortions. Like even when in a supermajority state won't vote to codify Roe v. Wade, they run away from the question entirely. Right. So like if you have a supermajority, you could pass it because everybody in the state is Democrat, right? In the legislature, you could pass it. You even have the governor is a Democrat too. Why can't you pass anything?
It's a good question, but you know why they can't pass anything? They have no intentions of passing
anything. Yeah.
No, that's never been their plan. They like to say, is that Paul McCartney, right? Say.
I love that song. And Michael Jackson.
That's what they do. They say, and they don't do. But sometimes you get an honest answer from the face without the mouth saying it. Now, if y'all want to laugh, this is your time.
The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska.
You know what? I wish I could have gotten away with this in college, right? When I got a short form answer question, I could have just, I grew up in a rural town in Arkansas, right? You just started off like that and then just not answer the question at all.
You know, I wish they put a shock collar on these people. You know, whenever they don't ask a direct question, they ride the lightning like wrong. Answer the question.
That would actually make debates 100 times better.
What does him growing up in a small rural town have to do with Tiananmen Square?
Well, that's that's like Kamala Harris's. That's all Kamala Harris does when she's asked the question, "What is your economic plan?" Well, I grew up in a middle class family, and my mom had to work really, really hard.
Okay, we need to ban that phrase.
That's where I heard it. The jerk.
I was a poor black child.
It was the jerk. They watched too much of the jerk. Is what it is.
I was a poor
black child.
and seriously, we need to ban that phrase from politicians' mouths ever again. I don't care if you grew up in a middle class family. I don't care. I want to know what you're actually going to do.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones to do it. Let's not get it twisted. We're fair and impartial here. You got a lot of conservatives to do it, and it drives me insane because we're probably going to hear when J.D. Vance does something almost similar. And I was sitting here like shaking my head like, why are you doing this? No one cares if you got two daughters and they both do this, play baseball or whatever. We don't care. Answer the question. Answer the question.
Put the fries in the bag, bro. Okay?
Put
the fries in the bag. Just answer the question.
Land the plane. Park the bus.
This is the thing that irritates me so much is that there's a lot of people in the United States that grew up thinking they were middle class, but they were actually in the upper middle class, right? So they had these like they had the Macaulay Culkin house from Home Alone, right? They lived in that and they thought they were middle class. You don't know what middle class is, bro.
Yeah.
Look,
you don't know.
I decided to go watch the Steve clip, right? And he sounds exactly like Tim. I was born a poor black child.
You need to overlay that with his answer right there when he says that.
Poor black.
Governor Walz, why did you say you were at Tiananmen Square? As well, I was a poor black child.
And Asians don't particularly like them black folk.
Yeah.
Oh, let him
Over there,
finish.
anyway.
It's gonna get so much more funny.
Oh man.
When I tell you hilarious, this face you'll quickly forget for the other one that's coming.
Yeah.
Town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the street lights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher.
Okay, hold on. Okay. I just saw another person. You tell me, I'm going to back it up real quick, and you tell me what you see. Just watch what he does.
Use the GI Bill to become.
Who was that?
Cheech
Who
from
did he
Cheech and
just
Chong.
channel? Who did he just channel?
Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
No. Watch again.
The GI Bill to become a teacher.
Hold on.
Use the GI Bill.
Let me do it again.
17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill.
Think about it.
I don't know. I'm
former president.
Oh, a former president?
Mm-hmm.
Biden?
Bush Jr.
Yeah, I was thinking Bush too. Yeah. You're right.
It's
Bush too.
That's Bush.
We shouldn't call him Bush Jr. We should call him Bush too, right?
Isn't that look at the expression again? It's all Bush. Watch.
Yeah,
that is true.
And then I
Walz
used
is
the GI
Bush.
There it
Bill
is.
to become a teacher. Passionate,
Oh, it is.
a young teacher.
That is all Bush.
My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back
There it is
home
again.
and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. They
weren't in the
I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people.
Wait, can we
There's the look. There's the
Yeah. What is this guy saying? He wants to jump down his throat, but he's like going to be patient and wait and let him just continue.
Wait, so
he's like, what the heck?
Because I'm still waiting on the answer of you were not in Tiananmen Square when the tanks happened. So why did you say that you were?
Because he was.
What does taking dancers to China have anything to do with that question?
Because he's a poor black child.
Everybody in Tiananmen Square had to learn how to dance around bullets and tanks. So he took them there to teach them how to dance. See, I know how to defend the man.
Oh, they used to hang basketball hoops off the gun barrel of the tank. That's where they learned to play basketball.
Yeah.
I have the perfect shirt for you. You got to get the Tiananmen Square guy with the grocery bags, right? And the tanks, right? And Tim Walz in the corner saying, I was a poor black child. Like in the corner
tank.
somewhere.
Him in the tank. And then have the bag saying 750 on them. That's what I would do.
Oh,
750. A poor black child.
750. Why you say it like that?
I would even go one step further and put Kanye's face poking out the side. George Bush don't care about black people. That's what I would just randomly throw them. What is he doing in there?
Man.
Oh my God. Why is he
you like fish sticks?
For 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice.
Good.
So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But
okay,
there,
whoa. I want to touch on that.
Caught up.
I know plenty of people brush right over it, but I had heard it, and I want to make something abundantly clear. If you are getting caught up in rhetoric and not listening to what you say, it means you do not believe the rhetoric. You're simply pushing it, which tells me that he's admitting that the Democrats do not believe what they say, but they have to stick to it.
I have to say something to defend my profession, since I am a rhetorically trained college graduate, because I actually took rhetoric in college. Saying rhetoric is stupid. What you are is a sophist, because that's not what you're supposed to do with rhetoric. If you're just lying to lie in order to win a debate, you're not a rhetorician, you're a sophist. Okay.
But what he also is a dummy. He's a dummy. Yeah. Because if you can say something and not realize what, okay, first of all, if you're just mumbling and rambling on, and you're not focusing on what's coming out, it's one or two things. You're an actor, so you've memorized the line, and even they memorize and internalize the line, so it becomes almost like it's them. Right. You don't even do that. You just speak it because it is the company line that you have to say, but you don't really think about it while it's coming out. So how am I supposed to believe you that you've actually thought about the stuff you're saying, believe the stuff you're saying, and willing to implement it? I can't, because it's just rhetoric.
It's almost like saying a creed. You know, in the military and armed forces, we would say these creeds a lot. And we'd say it so much that it just rolled off the tongue. A lot of times people just said it just to say it. You know, and some people meant it, but others say it just saying. And you're exactly right. A lot of these talking points, they're trained to learn these. This is why they all sound the same. They don't mean it.
They don't.
Okay, see, we need to stop using the rhetoric thing, because that always makes me mad. Because what it is a sophist, right?
No, but we have to use. I'm using their terminology for what they're talking about, and the fact is, he's carrying a line that he does not believe. Whether or not the word rhetoric fits or not is inconsequential to the point that he is not listening to what he actually says. He has not analyzed. He has not run it down the rabbit trail. He has done nothing to it. He's a regurgitator.
Yeah, that makes you an imbecile, though.
But that's the point of what a sophist is, an argument that seems plausible, but
I get the explanation of it, but I'm not talking about the explanation of it.
All right.
I'm talking about what he says he's done. He could have said, I get caught up in the talking points, or I get caught up in the line. I get caught up in the Democrat platform. Whatever it is he's caught up in is detracting from him analyzing what he's saying.
Yeah.
He has no concept of what he's saying. If that could get ahead of what you're saying and you forget stuff you say, or you, as he would say, misspeak, then you obviously do not know what you're speaking. Because what you're supposed to do as an adult, Tim, I'm trying to help you out here. I know you're older than me, but let me help you out. The key to being somebody that someone can trust is that you yourself have an internalized moral compass, or at least a belief structure. And what you do is, from that belief structure, you can speak from it. But if it's not yours, you can easily say stuff that you don't believe, and then you have to defend it. And this is what's going to happen to him right now. He's going to be called to defend something because he has to be virtue signaling all the time. He decided to virtue signal on something he was never at. And now he has to go back and try and figure out, how do I weasel my way back into something I was never at and still defend what I said? Listen carefully to what he says now.
So he's a parrot defending his own parroting.
In my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you.
Okay, and there it is. Now, he has no idea about if Donald Trump, in fact, Donald Trump might have actually been at Tiananmen Square, but he wouldn't know that because he was never there. Yeah. He has to try and bring something else into the conversation. So hopefully that people will just forget the question initially. The unfortunate thing for him is that the question didn't go away.
Praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through...
None of that made any sense.
None of that was an answer either.
Putting yourself out there and letting people understand what it is. What is what? Well, none of that made it. Like you just put stuff together and you just said, like, again, he's still doing the exact same thing he just admitted earlier. He's just talking. He doesn't even know what he's saying just there. He had no idea what he just said. Who was it that said that? I recently saw it on a... Well, it was Trump, right? I don't have no idea what she just said there. I don't even think she does. That's exactly him.
That's exactly what it is.
No clue.
But I mean, Vance goes on to push back on this too, is like that Trump didn't lose the trade war because they still have all of those tariffs in place that he put on China. So if he lost that trade war, then why do they still have the tariffs in place?
Right.
They got rid of almost everything else he did except for the money thing.
Oh, you know why? They need that money. Poor black children everywhere.
Money, poor blacks.
Which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress. Those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
No one asked you about values.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I
that's it.
Yeah, that's okay. You know,
bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. You know all that. I know.
I mean, I just lied. So I mean,
but you know, the problem with the left, and you see it all over X with all the lemmings, you know, Harry Sisson and all the Parker and all the rest of those lemmings. is that instead of having a moral compass themselves, saying, you know what, this guy has a record of lying, not small lies either. They're not tiny, tiny lies. This guy wants to run for the vice president of the United States.
Yeah.
He lied about his military service. He lied about being in Tiananmen Square. And there's some other lies that we're probably going to see during this podcast. But the dude has a record of lying. You know, you lied to me once. What is that saying? Shame on me, or shame on you. Yeah. You lied to me twice. Shame on me, or shame on you. Whatever.
Lied to me 3 times. It's shame on lying. You know,
you can't be shamed again. You know, it's just the guy has a record, and if people aren't seeing his record of whatever he wants to call it, misspoke or misspeaking, they're blind as hell, and they're lost.
I know my tism's showing when I say this, but the reason why I keep saying that they're sophists and not it's not rhetoric is because they actually lie purposely in order to deceive people. That's exactly what a sophist is. That's what they do. They create things that seem plausible, right? And then they lie knowingly to you to make you believe it. Yeah. Like that's what these politicians do. They're not using rhetoric. They're being sophists. They're lying to convince you to vote for them. That's all it is.
They're using rhetoric as
lying. I'm gonna just say liars. I don't need new words in my vocabulary. They're liars.
What a word! It's like 2,000 years old. Jeez.
Sorry, I'm not gonna use it.
This is going to be one here that's going to make you. I really want this face on a shirt. I do. This particular look right here. Hold on.
I will just put a little drip on the side.
That's what I've said.
There it is.
It's what I said. That quote right there. It's what I said.
I wish I could get it right.
Said.
There it is.
You got to keep that.
It's what I said.
You got to keep that one. Screenshot.
I'm going to screenshot that bad boy right now.
Oh gosh.
It is so funny to me. That like he's like, yeah, I was at Tiananmen Square. It's like you took Biden's level of stupid and made it worse somehow. You know, like his uncle that was eaten by cannibals. He got shot down.
You know, the thing with these politicians, and this is how you know they're dinosaurs, especially a guy like him, Biden, all the rest of these dinosaurs that are in there. They don't understand how fast we can find information these days. I don't think they can comprehend that, or they do. They're just ignorant to the point. You know, the minute they speak and something is off, the first thing I was doing during the live the other day was every time you speak, I go to my phone immediately and look it up. I'm like, oh, that was a lie. And you'll hear me on there saying lie.
It's a lie.
You know, so they don't understand. They think it's from their day back in the Stone Age to where they could just say something and people had no way of figuring it out. They just had to believe it. Nowadays, people are going to fact check, and look for the information themselves. So to get up there and lie boldly, that's a lot deeper than, you know, whether you want to call it rhetoric or sophist, whatever. It's just pure narcissism. I mean, they think people are stupid and they're not. And he just made himself look like a fool even more.
It's a sophistry in the highest degree, because the point is that why they're trying to get rid of the First Amendment and they're trying to censor speech is because we can find the truth faster than they can put out the narrative.
Oh, yeah, that face. I love that face. That's the face of this.
I was going to say, black child.
I love that.
That's the face of somebody who likes to dress.
Oh, he does even better one right after it. There's 2 of them.
Said.
Ooh,
is it?
that is. Did you see the one?
Oops.
He was almost crying. Oh, look, another one right there.
There you go.
They're making fun of me. I know they're.
Well, I was a poor black child.
There it is. That's the one.
Oh God.
You know who he reminds me of? What was the Three Stooges? Curly.
Mo.
Was it Mo or Curly?
Mo is the one with hardly any hair.
Yeah, let me
the bald-headed one. Curly. Shimp.
Golly.
So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Wait, so he doubled down?
What did he learn?
What did he learn? How to drive a tank?
Yeah, what did you learn?
What? How to stand with groceries in the middle of the street? What exactly did you learn while you were there not participating in the protest? Like,
Marlon, he learned how great communism really is.
Oh, yeah. That's what he learned.
He learned communism, just like the rest of the Marxists.
That's what he learned. I agree.
So
that is crazy.
For Michael, which one do you think he is? So we bring this up.
The bald-headed one, Curly. Which one is it? Yeah, Curly.
The middle one?
Curly. I said.
I mean, he
you
could
said
be any of
Curly,
those.
okay.
I think he's an amalgamation of all three.
Curly.
Yeah.
No, he can't be, because Mo, as dumb as Mo was still the smarter one.
Yeah,
Mm.
Mo's smart.
Curly
was
Larry.
the
the others.
Yeah,
Curly
Curly
was
was dumb.
dumb.
I think he's more of a Larry than a Curly.
Nah, he's probably a mixture.
see
He's a
it.
hybrid.
That's just crazy to me. Like, honestly, it's crazy to me. So I want us to watch this last clip. This is one of the funnier ones too, because I'm not funny. I do want an explanation from Tim about this statement. Okay. This one statement kind of puzzled me, concerned me. I think I kind of understand what he's trying to say, but how he's, because I have to give the man at least a little bit of a grace. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But I can kind of get where he's trying to go with it, but his wording is exceptionally moronic and stupid.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And
he's reading.
Yeah.
Just, this is not an answer that he's given organic. He's written down because they already gave him the questions.
Yeah.
FYI.
Several things I want to mention on this is talking about cities and where it's at. The number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so
what?
So that would be handguns. It wouldn't be rifles. Because like this is the thing they always do, is that they conflate suicide deaths and overall gun deaths with assault weapons, which is not true. None of these rifles are the majority of cases of death. It's handguns. Handguns are the leading cause of suicides.
But how is that a gun issue?
Well, it's not. But it's not. The fact of the matter, it's not. But the thing that they also have done is that they've conflated the notion of children. They've taken children and extended it out to 19,
right?
Instead of stopping it at 17. And so those 2 years have added maybe more. It threw off the bell curve, basically.
Yeah, it expanded the bell curve. And here's the other thing, is that they also talk about 32,000 gun deaths in the United States, but then they also don't want to talk about the majority of deaths being from like car accidents or even overdoses, which overdoses kill more people in the United States than guns.
They don't realize that they've contributed to the amount of suicides since they did the lockdown. Yep. Thank you, Fauci. True. And they also didn't want to talk about the fact that you guys were trying to damage children's brains by forcing them to wear masks in open areas. That too helped with suicide rates. You didn't talk about shutting schools down. You ain't talking about none of that stuff, which, you did. So I'm trying to figure out how this is a gun issue. Anyway, my biggest thing is that statement. He's going to say it again, though.
We have and we should look at all of the issues, making sure folks have health care and all that. But I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority.
Okay. So
all right, I'm letting you know, Marlon, I just texted my gun and asked it. No, they haven't texted me back. I told it to come in the office and I need to have a talk with it about it being bad gun.
Yeah. What responsible gun owners need to do is they need to take their black children, their guns, right? And they need to sit them down and have a conversation. And what that conversation needs to be is to stop being violent.
Yeah.
Okay. They need to stop getting up and getting angry and shooting random schools. Okay.
That's like the talk you have with your pit bull before you go to the park. Not everyone's going to like you, dear. You're a scary looking guy. Yeah. Okay. You're very scary looking. I don't care how sweet you are. People are going to think you're automatically going to bite them. So stay away from them. Look, my biggest concern, and like I said, I'll explain what I mean by I knew what he said. He said he's become friends with school shooters. I think what he meant to say was, in his time working with these children, he has befriended people who were potentially and could have been school shooters because of any problems they had with their teammates, with their schoolmates, with their teachers, their family. They are potential school shooters because they are depressed and angry. You could say that, but you just said that you are friends with already, because if you say there are a school shooter, they've either done it or actively doing it. So which is it? Are you friends with people who shoot schools?
Like maybe he's talking about like professional gun shooters, like from high school that maybe he knew back in the day when they still allowed shooting competitions.
That might be it.
Maybe
or he knew the shooters under the MK Ultra program, and he met them before they got sent out to do the actual school shootings.
Oh yeah,
and he became friends with them. I'm just saying, I don't know.
But no, they always want to blame the gun, but then at the same time, right now, over across the pond, UK is talking about banning knives because there's too many people running around with knives stabbing people. It's not the gun; it's the tool that they're using. Well, doesn't matter. It can be the gun or it could be a knife. We already had multiple knife incidents in the UK where multiple children were stabbed and killed in the same manner that somebody with a gun would have done. It doesn't matter.
I'd like to make a correction. There is no we in that. It's them. Them.
Okay. Whatever. They have had multiple stabbing incidences with children involved. Okay. Their issue is a little bit different because they're dealing with migrants that are doing it. Right. But the point is the tool doesn't matter. It's the people.
And it's
always the
never
people.
matter.
Right. Yeah.
It's never going to stop.
And to end the show, I want us to discuss this immaculate moment. And I think this is one of the best. This is where I think JD Vance won the debate, in my opinion. While he spoke fine on other things, this moment here is where I think I can see why Trump picked him, because he's not shy. But he can be rude, thankfully, and he can be direct, thankfully.
I like it.
And it's this point right here.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were.
I like it though.
You
didn't let him get away
trying
with
to tell her, just hurry up and get to it so he shuts up. Watch the hands. Watch the hands. This is my favorite part right here.
So much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were.
I like it though.
Yeah.
And on this part right here, Marlon, that just goes to show the American people, our viewers, that even Fox News is in on this. Don't think Fox is some conservative, friendly news outlet that is pro-Trump. No, they're very much against Trump. And this goes to it. They showed you right there that they really are. So don't trust Fox either. Get away from the mainstream. None of it.
Too crazy. Just go quickly. He cutting in. He's cutting in.
You guys are going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those
laws
have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books
since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you.
See, and that's the moment that the mainstream media, well, there's plenty of moments, but this one right here is just confirmation that we can't trust the media.
No, you can't.
Remember that clip I was telling you about where the dude went through the CBP One map? I've got that.
I was about to bring it up too. Yeah.
After watching that vice presidential debate last night, I was curious just how easy that CBP One app was to use. So I downloaded it.
So once you create an account from the main page, you just have to choose if you're the smuggler or the smugglee. Basic info, first name, last name, all the basics. I don't know my gender yet. I'm still figuring that out. Now it's time to take a selfie, and passport or any identification is also optional.
Then it asks you which state you're headed to. I said I didn't know the address. I didn't know the
Jesus
city.
Gonzalez.
I just chose California, and then I added the first zip code that Google gave me for California. And that's it. I'm good to go. It does let you choose between like 8 different bridges to meet under. I chose the Eagle Pass bridge to meet under.
Dang.
I just have to wait
Jeez.
until noon, so a couple more hours to actually make my appointment. Now I know what you're saying. That's not you. That's Carlos Mencia. Correct. I was just trying to show you how easy it was to register. I'm just a white dude from Michigan. This took me 5 minutes. Someone who really wants to get into this country, get temporary asylum with open-ended expiration dates, they'll just use their own picture. I said, I have no documentation. I have no ID, no passport, no license. There is no way to cross-check who I say I am with who I really am. All they go off of is the picture that you submit.
How crazy is that?
That's insane.
That's the system we live in. But, you know, there was another point, and I don't know if we're going to play it, Marlon. There was a point where Walz brought up a school shooting. And I think we did play it. And he says he's friends with shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that his son was there when he was 17. He was at a school shooting at a volleyball game. Well, that was fact checked. There was a shooting, but it wasn't not a shooting. There was a shot fired outside of his gym where his son was at eating pizza, watching everybody play volleyball. So he twisted it up to make it seem like his son, to get the freaking pulling the emotional, you know, heartstrings. His son wasn't involved in a school shooting when he was 17 while playing volleyball, which never happened.
Yeah.
So, and this is what they do. You know, they make stories and they make up these things, and no one but the right really goes in and fact checks these people. The left will just run with it.
You know who he reminds me of is those guys that were in combat. You know the ones I'm talking about, Michael, right? The ones that were like, well, I was involved in combat, and it's like they had a rocket that was like a kilometer away from them, and they said they were rocketed and they were nowhere near it. Nothing ever happened to them. They were in KBR the entire time.
Isn't that what Hillary did? I landed under sniper fire, and she was nowhere near. You saw her on the tarmac greeting people and smiling and cackling and hyenaing around. Oh, I was running for my life. All of us were. We were running, landing under sniper fire.
If you've never had to dive Superman style into cover, you've not been anywhere near something like that, dude. So
yeah, but that's what people have to start. Sorry,
go ahead.
But that's what people have to start doing whenever these politicians, especially getting this close, politicians start speaking, especially this close to an election cycle, which we still don't think the election is going to happen. I personally, Marlon doesn't. I know he doesn't. But whenever they get up there and start talking, don't just take what they say for face value. Go out there and look for exactly what they say, and you're going to find the truth. You know, if they call some bull crap, you call them out on that bull crap.
Yep.
It's kind of akin. I've been under fire before. You know, if you've ever had kids with diarrhea, you've been under fire before.
Yeah.
And even that's when shit hits the fan. I'm just telling you, you got to be careful with that, because that stuff is dangerous. It's almost like napalm when you're not ready, especially to your nose hairs. But on a serious note, I think Tim, well, not really. I think Walz is exactly like rapid fire diarrhea from a month-year-old to who has, you know, running diarrhea. That's him. He doesn't have control over what he says. He doesn't have control how he says it. He just knows that he has to say it. I still am trying to figure out how exactly he's able to take notes into something that's supposed to be a cold show, that you're not supposed to have any information about what exactly the topics are, which would make it a true debate, because you should have a robust idea of your whole policy. I still don't know how he's able to have anyway, but that's just, you know, me. I can only guess that he was either given permission to in the questions before, or rules don't apply to him the same way it didn't apply to Kamala Harris. So with that being said, I don't think you did very well. I think JD did just enough to win. When I mean just enough to win people, but not enough. He did more than enough to beat Tim. You didn't have to do much to beat Tim. You just had to show up.
It was pretty easy.
I think at the end of this will end up being a very bad thing for Kamala to get new voters. Her base is going to be her base the same way that the base is going to be Donald Trump's base. I think what Kamala risked and got what she got out of that was that she lost people on that one. So it may see more people gravitating to, even if they don't go to Trump, they're not going to vote for her.
So this is the thing that people aren't understanding about what's happening in the Democratic Party, is that there is a very good portion of the voter base that they have lost because of the Palestine issue. That issue alone is enough to split the Democratic Party. They might not vote for Trump, but they're definitely not voting for Kamala. They are voting for Jill Stein.
Yeah,
that's who they're going to be voting for. And so, like, they've already split in at least a quarter of the Democratic Party voter base into Jill Stein or Donald Trump.
He just took a fifth away too.
Yep. And this is why Marlon stated, and many of us stated again on this show about the election not happening. And they're very desperate right now. And you got to look at what just happened with this hurricane. You know, the minute you got to think about the voting base that's there. That's a lot of red states. That's a lot of red voters up there. So, if they don't get that stuff together, it's going to be declared a national emergency. And as we stated before, when there's some type of emergency or something big happens, what happens to the election?
Yep. Well, that's the other thing that people's not talking about is that those areas have been so detrimentally damaged that it's going to be almost impossible to get actual voting counts in those. Right. So those are now swing states because of natural disaster. Right. And they don't want them to get fixed because now we can shift the electoral votes in a new way because now they can't vote. So we can't count them. But that's not our fault because it was a national emergency. Oopsie daisy.
Yep.
It's going to be very interesting. The next couple of days are going to be telling, but not telling in the way I think the Democrats are hoping. It's going to be telling on one very big front. All their polling, all their data, they know, and mind you, they know this already, is not going the way they want. They're trying to sugarcoat it, trying to put lipstick on a pig and sprinkles on a turd as much as they can, but they understand it's not working, which is why they've already pivoted and dropped. Oh, look what Jack did. Jack dropped all 120 something to 130 pages of January 6th. Look over here. They're already trying to switch the narrative off of the debate. If not, they thought he had won and done really good. They would have kept harping on it, but they have nothing to harp on. He did so poorly. So they're going to try and drop something new. And hear me out. You remember that, again, I said this before. They're going to come up with something that they can reinvigorate the base with. The Jan 6 has popped back up again. Now it's all over in the news that Jack Smith has dropped the unredacted this and the unredacted that. It's not something that people have not heard before, but because they're seeing it right after the debate, they're thinking, oh, this is something new. And it's a great way because they're like children with keys, You're crying, jingle some keys, and they're like, oh, we're happy again, jingle some keys. That's what they're doing. And I have no qualms about saying this. I believe they're revamping that whole concept to reinvigorate their base to be more angry again and hence act up and bring about a reason not to have it because they know what they're going to say. The possibility of him doing J6 again is too strong for us to even give him the chance to win this election.
Yeah.
They're going to paint it. They're going to paint it. And I'm telling you, if it doesn't happen, it'll happen before the signing in if Kamala wins. Just watch.
I think it's funny that they still harp on January 6th, even though the pro-Palestinian protest in Washington, D.C. defaced the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
They don't care about a national monument that symbolizes America itself. They even took down the American flag at DC at the same time. Like that, if that doesn't show the level of disgust that you should have, I don't know.
They never will see.
And what they really want, we have a national disaster. They're keeping, people from getting there. I know we're going to talk about this later on this week, but they're trying to keep aid workers from getting there. They try to keep aid. And as you stated, they're trying to get something so big to where they can actually cancel the election, because either way it goes, they're trying to cause a civil war. So say the election goes on and their numbers really don't add up and we knock out those states that got hit with that hurricane, just don't get the vote. Let's say that. I
mean, look how many states that's going to be.
And then Trump still wins. You know what I mean? They're really worried about that. And he still wins. They're counting them out. Trump can still win it, even if we don't count those states that got hit hard. And that's not every county in those states. So, you got to figure that out. They told us in January, if Trump wins, we're going to have to tell his base that we're not going to certify it pretty much, and there's going to be civil war-like conditions. So at the end of the day, whether they want to have the election or the election goes through, just understand that these people want a civil war.
Yep, plain and simple. But I guess time will tell. We'll figure it out. Tomorrow we'll discuss the Hurricane Helen situation and the grandiose help that the Biden administration has been sending out. And the mass amounts of money they're sending down to the people who have been affected. I think they're sending 15 billion times more the stuff they sent to Ukraine. That's what I heard. So,
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trillions. They're sending, I think, 300 million million dollars. I think is what they said they were sending.
I heard they're building everyone container homes, like 3-bedroom
15-minute
container
cities.
homes. 15
And as our glorious leader in the White House has said, we've already pre-planned all of this.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, it's all pre-planned.
All of this has been pre-planned. We know what we're doing.
Up. The tower went. Everything is fine. We did it all. And
so just to make sure, just to make sure.
Oh, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
I was just saying. So just to make sure, Boris is not getting a cent. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, Boris is getting cents. Just just not right
as
now.
Much.
Yeah.
And we don't want anyone out there to think that we're making fun of what's going on down there, because we're not. We're making fun of the administration and the people that are in charge. Those are the trash people that are running this show. We're not making fun of the people that got affected by it, but all the trash people in charge, all those trashy bottom feeders that are running it, that don't care about the American people, that would rather see the American people suffer, die, get left behind while feeding people overseas that we don't care about. Those are the people.
Right. People have to understand this flooding event is worse than Katrina ever was.
Yeah.
It's by far the worst thing that's happened.
And it's intentional. That's my belief.
Yes, it's all intentional.
So we're gonna discuss that tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune into that. Remember, after this week, we're going to be having 5-minute sessions on YouTube before we go fully to Rumble. Okay. I'm hoping by then I'll be able to bring up all the Rumble chats. So we'll see how that works out. I'll let you guys know. But if not, I'll just transfer it back to the regular StreamYard. That way I can have it set up properly. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Too Strong will might be on tonight, not tomorrow. I have a meeting. So look out for us possibly in an hour, possibly not. But either way, go check the channel out. Make sure you keep refreshing to see if it pops up or not, okay? But we do have a couple of videos we dropped that you need to go watch. Make sure you check that out. We are going to make sure that when you do go over to Rumble, you have the same access you do on YouTube, okay? Just understand it. Like I keep saying, it's a better thing for us because now we can speak a little bit more freely. Come next week with the topics we're going to tackle are almost like our Rumble events on Saturday. So we may not even need to do Rumble Saturdays anymore because we can tackle it all week long. So things like the stuff that happened with Hillary Clinton and Uma Abedin and Comet Pizza and all that stuff, we can talk as free as we want about it over there. So if you want to have an actual robust conversation, that would be the place to do it. So just make sure that we're going to be shutting down YouTube live from here on out, starting next week. 5 minutes only you'll get after the end of October, though. All you're going to see on YouTube is going to be shorts and short form videos from the lives we do on Rumble. I just want to make sure people are aware of that before we go any further. So where do you all go? Now you'll know where we're going. Make sure you go over to subscribe over on Rumble because it makes a lot more sense anyway.
And Marlon, can you put the link to the Rumble channel in the chat once again? Because I know we've done this many, many times, but we just want people to say, they can't say we don't show you guys because we do show you guys the link multiple times. So save it.
The other thing too is if you guys are having issues finding it, okay, it's really easy to do. Go to our YouTube channel. In fact, I'm going to bring it up right now.
Yes.
And so I'll show you the process of it. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to bring this up real quick so you guys can get a nice little walkthrough of what to do. Okay. So right here, you have the page, right? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay. Everyone can see this, right? So when you go to our channels by typing in Savage Patriots, I have it because I search for it all the time. There it is right there, Savage Patriots. You'll see our logo and there we are. Okay. Boom. Click on it. Now, this is not needed. When you see here, you'll see a more link. And there is the Rumble link right there. Okay. Right there. It says it and you click it and it'll cut to another screen. I don't have it doing it to jump to the same screen. So it'll go and take you here. There you go. I'm trying to find a way to rename it to Savage Patriots, but it won't. It's just leaving it as Sons of Paul Revere for some reason. I don't know why. It's taking the subtitle and making it the main. So either way, it's in the YouTube link up on the banner. Click the more, It'll be right there. Can't miss it. Even on mobile phones, you can still do more, and it's right there. When you do it, make sure you bookmark it on your computer. Save it as a permanent thing on your phone. There is an app that you can download on your phone, the Rumble app. Once you've logged in, you won't have to log in again, and it'll just remind. It'll actually, you can put notifications on the app, and it will actually ding, ding, ding on your phone to tell you this is going live in half hour.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is more reliable than YouTube ever was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So be sure you do that. And starting next week, again, I have to make sure I reiterate this for those coming in late. Next week, YouTube will not be live for the duration of the show. It'll be live for the first 5 minutes. And at the end of October, no more lives on YouTube, simply Rumble. Cool. Oh, and X. We'll be live on X too.
Yeah. If you have X, you can do it on there too.
Right. Perfecto. So with that being said, thank you guys for being here. Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, and we will see y'all Friday.
Peace. We out.